Welcome everyone! Today I'll be showing you everything I've ever crocheted or that I remember making. I've also given things away to friends and family, and I've also sold a few things. So if I remember them, I will put photos of them in the video. So I've been crocheting for about 2 years now. I started off with just kind of scraps, just practicing, so I'll show those really quickly as well. And now I mostly make bags and clothes, actually. I'm planning on eventually selling things as well, but for now it's mostly just for me and my friends. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Okay, so this is all of my practice scraps. You'll see that I made quite a drastic jump from just practicing stitches to following patterns like straight away. But yeah, I don't remember the order in which I made these, of course, but they're mostly just little double crochets, and I tried some kind of checkered pattern. I'm not sure if you can see it, but yeah, it was not great. It was mostly just for practice, and I'm happy I did it because this is how I got the hang of it, and everyone needs to start somewhere. And then I also wanted to make one of those things for on your headphones, which I did, although it's very floppy and it doesn't actually work, so I kind of gave up. I've never made another one, actually. I will, because now I probably can, but this was my first pattern that I followed. Then secondly, I started making flowers, and I made like hundreds of these, it feels like, because once I got the hang of it, I just kept making them. I feel like for me it's really hard to like think that I can do something, and so when I tried crocheting and I realized that I could make squares, I started making squares, but then I was scared to follow a pattern because I felt like I couldn't do that, and then when I followed this pattern and I knew I could do it, I just kept making it, and eventually I did move on, because of course you cannot be the best at everything. You have to learn, and to learn you have to take risks and try new things, so I did figure that out eventually, but I think I spent like solid half a year just making flowers. So now moving on to the first clothing item that I've ever made. I was still too stubborn to follow an actual pattern, so I just took all the flowers that I made and I tried to like stitch them together using like needle and thread, like sewing them. But as you can see, I tried to just make like a rectangle for the back, and you know, the idea is really cute. Like, this is great in theory. In practice, however, it is not really wearable. Well, it's wearable, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's obviously very see-through, and it keeps falling apart. As you can see here, it just doesn't really work. I'm not sure how you would make a top out of these. I'm sure it's possible, but this was my first attempt. It's also really heavy. Next up, I started making bags. This is my first attempt at a bag. I just went to the thrift store, found like 3 really small, like not even balls, but like just chunks of yarn, and I took them home and I made this. It's not usable, it's just cute. You can wear it, I guess, but maybe your phone will fit in it. I'm not sure, it's not very sturdy. Next up is the first pattern I ever followed, like a solid like YouTube tutorial of like, I think it was like a 30-minute one. I'm not sure what the video was anymore, actually, or who made it, so if you recognize the pattern, please let me know and I will link them down below, because the tutorial was amazing, honestly. As a beginner, it was very easy to follow. It was just step by step. You started with like the bottom, and then you worked your way up like in circles around it, and you learned, I learned quite a lot of stitches through this. As you can see, it has like a really nice pattern, but not like too obnoxious. And then the handles, like I wanted to like stiffen it somehow so it would make more sturdy and it would be more usable, but I never got around to doing that. So I've actually never used it, which is such a shame because I really do love this bag. And actually, again, I was scared to use a new pattern, so I loved it so much that I actually made a small one. I'm not sure what the thought process behind that was. It's not usable. I just displayed in my room because it's absolutely adorable. And yeah, there was no pattern for this, obviously. I just copied this in my head and made it smaller. So next up, I made this bag for my mom. She wanted like a grocery shopping bag, and I made her this tote bag. It has holes, obviously, but the bottom is solid, so nothing would like fall through or anything. And I just used the knowledge that I had gathered so far, and I'm really proud of this, actually. Like, for a beginner, it's pretty good, especially without any pattern. And I soon realized that although I did like following patterns to like learn new things, I prefer to then use those new things that I learned to make my own patterns and just think of things that I wanted to make and somehow figure out and try to make them. So this is my first ever like solid experiment. She actually used it as well, so that's really good. In between that one and the next one, I made a really nice tote bag for my grandma, but I gave it to her obviously, so I don't have it here. If I can find a picture, I will put it on screen right now. If not, this is the next bag that I made. This is actually my pride and joy. Someone wanted to buy this from me because I was like at a market not too long ago, but they only wanted to give like 20 euros for it. And I know that that's like a solid amount for a bag. It just didn't feel like, you know, the amount of work and effort and time that I put into this, materials as well. It wouldn't even have covered materials, I don't think. For a crochet bag is obviously already a really low price, but I decided that I would rather have the item than the money. But yeah, this is my pride and joy. I made this on vacation in Austria actually last year, last summer. So this is like exactly 1 year ago now, and I'm just so proud of it because I watched this tutorial and I learned the tulip stitch, which is like, I tried it in a square, but I don't have that anymore. But then I tried it in a bag. I literally made this bag, but with the tulip stitch in it. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. When I had it finished up until this point, I thought I could add like another row, but it would feel like very naked. So I just put like ruffles, and I didn't actually know how to make ruffles. I just thought I would do 3 double crochets in every stitch, and it worked. So now I have ruffles. Again, it's kind of floppy, so I've never really used. I'm sure there are things you could use to like make your project a bit sturdier, but I've never really tried that. I was planning on going to like the yarn store in my hometown, but I never got around to it. So eventually I think I will, and I will try and make this a bit more sturdy so I can actually use it, because it is so pretty. I have used this like once or twice maybe, but I'm just too proud of it and I don't want to like ruin it. Okay, so next up, I followed yet another new tutorial for a little bag, a little shoulder bag, and it is so cute. I still love it. I still use this pattern. I've like written it down for myself because I lost the video. But again, if I can find it, I will link it down below. But yeah, I love this one. It's so simple. You just make like 2 sides and then like the strap, and you just crochet them together, and it's amazing. I use the pattern all the time. I love to give these to my friends as like gifts because they're really easy to make. I think this one, well, the first one obviously took me a bit longer, but I think I can make one in probably like 2 hours now, 2-3 hours. So yeah, of course I wanted to experiment with that, and I made one with a row of tulip stitch in it. So I kind of tweaked the pattern to fit my own idea because I wanted to add the tulip stitch. I also add a little flower, just like a little charm. I've actually used this one before. I really like it. I also made this one with 2 little cute flower charms on it because I accidentally ran out of yarn and I had to use a different color. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this one's a bit darker than this one, although this is very floppy. But yeah, I still really like it. I've actually used this before. And I also made a little pocket inside that you can put things in it, like your keys or something. As you can see, it's just sewn onto the inside, or well, crocheted onto the inside. So yeah, I like to add little things to patterns that I find to like kind of make them my own. Then next up, I just made this little bag with another row of tulip stitch. I'm not sure how I made this. I think it was like a combination of the bag where you start with the bottom and you work your way up in circles, and like the little shoulder bag, because it's a little shoulder bag, but I did do it with like working from the bottom up. So it's a bit more sturdy, and I do like this one. Then I made this one. I hate this one, respectfully. It's just, the yarn is really thick and like scratchy. I'm not sure if you can hear it. Like, it's a really hard material and it's very heavy as well. I just made like the bottom, then I worked my way up. I also ran out at the end, so I had to tie all of my scraps together to try and make it work, because I didn't want to buy another full ball of yarn just to finish this one bag, because I didn't like it anyway. I was gonna give it to someone, but I don't feel comfortable giving someone something that I don't like myself, so I just kept it. But yeah, this one just wanted to stay in the drawer. Next up is one of my favorite bags. I use this one all the time, actually. This is also when I learned how to make granny squares, and yeah, I didn't know how to do that, and up until now I made all of these bags before I started granny squares, which is usually the thing people start with. I'm not sure why I didn't, but I followed a tutorial and I found out how to make a granny square, so I made all of these granny squares, and then I just sewn them, well, I crocheted them together to make this bag. And yeah, I love it so much. There's not an actual pattern for the bag, but there is for the granny squares, obviously. Then again, I also made a little pocket inside so you can put your little keys or phone in it, and then you can put other things in the big pocket, obviously. Then last but not least, from the bag, this is my latest bag that I made. It's like one big granny square. I thought I would try that, and then around the edges it has little granny squares. Yeah, I was gonna make a pocket inside of this, but I was scared that it would show on the outside, so I just kept it like this. But it's really nice and sturdy. You could definitely like use this and wear it, so I definitely will. So before we get into all the clothes I made, I wanted to do a little round of honorary mentions, I guess. These are just things that I made that don't really fit into a category, but I wanted to show them anyway. This is one of my favorite things ever. It's a little pumpkin cat hat. I did not follow a tutorial for this. I just kind of freestyled it. I did see like a photo on Pinterest of someone who made it, and so I just tried to make it. I do this all the time. I just see a photo of something, I'm like, hey, I want to make that, and then I don't look for a pattern, I just try it. It doesn't always work out, but usually it does. So that's kind of my hidden talent, I guess. But yeah, I made 2 of these because I have 2 cats. Actually, I'm going to show it on. 1 second. So this is my cat, my little model. This is Luce. I couldn't find Bella, so we just have 1 model. But yeah, look how cute she looks. She doesn't hate it, actually. And it's really easy to just take off, so. I also made this ring for my steering wheel out of granny squares. I will insert a photo right here. I've also sold one of these, actually. But yeah, I made this because I got so much yarn for my friend's birthday. Thank you so much for that, by the way. But I had too much yarn that I knew what to do with, so I went on Pinterest and I found all these like steering wheel covers, and I love them, so I made one for myself. However, my parents thought it was dangerous, so I have not used it, actually. I put it on, and then when I go and drive, I take it off. But yeah, I'm sure if you like fasten it with yarn, it should be safe, but yeah. For this one, I also made matching seatbelt covers. Again, I never really installed them because I wanted to do them together, and I just never got around to it, but I still plan to do that. This is actually one of my favorite things I've ever made. I think also one of the first things I've ever made. It's a phone bag, and I use this all the time, especially last summer when my clothes did not have any pockets. It is ideal. I love it. I can carry my phone everywhere. I can play music on it. Just comes right through. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just like an extra pocket for all your clothing. There's no pattern for this. I can make one if you guys would like to see it, but yeah, this one is amazing. Next up is this cute little bag. I put rocks in it, but it's just a little drawstring bag that I made. I had a lot of leftover little pieces of yarn, and I wanted to try and make something, and this was the first thing that I made with the tulip stitch before I made the big bag. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I just use it to store the rock that I found on vacation. But yeah, I put a little flower on it as well, and it's really easy. You just open it like that, and then you can close it just like that. Lately I've been experimenting because I really want to challenge myself now that I have a bit more time to crochet. So I tried checkered pattern for the first time, actually, and also tried weaving in my ends, and I think it worked pretty great. I'm definitely gonna make something with this. I was gonna make a bag out of this, but I don't think I'll have enough yarn, so I'm just gonna keep this as like practice, and I'll find another project. I also finally figured out how to make one of these because it took me so long. I didn't follow a pattern for this. I just always saw these squares and I was so jealous because I did not know how to make them. I'm not sure why I didn't just look up a tutorial, but eventually I figured out that just doing 4 crochets would make it really broad, and so you have to do the same thing as with the tulip stitch. I'll make a video on that as well, but yeah, so they get a little bulky, a little thick, and then you just do it like a regular granny square. I actually made this one last night. I saw it on Pinterest and it did not have a pattern or video or anything attached, but it did have like a little step-by-step thing, just like with every color. So I did kind of know how to make it, but I just kind of winged it, and I really like it. I do still have to trim the ends, but I will definitely use this in like a bag or a top. I also made this one yesterday. I'm not sure why I'm experimenting so much all of a sudden, but yeah, I still need to cut the ends. But it's a little strawberry granny square, and I love it so much. I'm definitely gonna put this in a bag, although it was a lot of work to make it, so I think I'll just put one and then the regular ones around it. And the last one of this category, but definitely not the least, is one of my favorite things I've ever made. It's a book cover with tulip stitch, obviously. It's one of my favorite stitches. It just looks so like detailed, and I just love it. But yeah, you just put your book in here and slide it right out. I'm reading Powerless right now by Lauren Roberts. It's an amazing book. I'm like almost finished, and it's so good. So definitely recommend that. But yeah, I just wanted to keep my books nice and pretty, so you just stuff it in and then you stuff the bottom in just like that, and voila. Very easy to use. Yeah, I would definitely recommend this. If you guys want, I can also make a tutorial on this one, and I'm also thinking of like selling them. I have a problem. I have made so many clothes. I think it's my favorite thing to make. Again, I have not used any patterns, I think, to make clothes. Actually, that's not true. Wait. Okay, now that I've kind of sorted it into like categories, I'm gonna start off with mesh tops. I think that's, maybe they don't have a name, but I just came up with this myself. I just measure like while I'm crocheting from here to here, and that obviously. And yeah, I just went for it. This one is kind of falling apart. It's pretty old. This is the first top I ever made. I do, however, love still wearing it, especially with like these pants and this shirt. So I'll try it on so you can see it. But yeah, I love this one. Next up is this top. It is my favorite. I wear it all the time. Yeah, I just love the color combination. The sleeves are so like nice and dramatic, and I just love that it's like kind of horizontally striped. Like, it's just so nice. It feels really nice as well. And yeah, oh, by the way, if you guys want to know what kind of yarn I use, I can definitely make a video on that as well. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. And by the way, these are all patterns that I've made myself. Well, they're not patterns yet, they're just in my head, but I can definitely make patterned videos for them. So if you're interested in any of my clothing items, please let me know and I'll make a tutorial on them. Next up is this top. This was a work. It was a lot. I did enjoy making it. I just started off the same as like the first top I've ever made, and then I made sleeves, which connecting them was kind of difficult because I wasn't sure how big the hole would have to be, because I don't like things being too tight to my skin. But yeah, I wanted like these nice flared sleeves. However, I started a bit late, and then I actually extended every single stitch, so I made it like double within one round, and then the next round I did the same thing, so it became huge. The sleeves are very dramatic. I have worn this before quite often, actually, even to work. But yeah, it's really nice. It's also surprisingly warm, because I mean, it has holes in it, so you wouldn't think it, but it definitely is very warm. The wool definitely keeps you nice and cozy. But yeah, these sleeves are the death of me. They took me so long. But yeah, I love it, and I still do. Next up is this top. It's very simple and plain. I also like the length, but I wear it actually all the time as well. This is, I think, the easiest one to wear with like any outfit. I usually do like a black little crew neck shirt, and I just put this over it with some green pants, and I love it. It just hits every time. This one I'm unsure about. I actually made this before a date. Literally the day of, I was like texting like, hey, I'm gonna be late, my clothes aren't finished yet, because I insisted on making something new. I wasn't late, don't worry. But yeah, I made this and I wore it once to the date and then never again, because it's a bit short. It's like kind of an awkward length. Not my favorite, but it did the job. Now this top, this was hell to figure out, because I went to a store, I don't remember which one, and I tried on this shirt, like backless shirt. I spoiled it. Backless shirt, and I loved it, but it was so expensive, and it was just like regular fabric. But I was like, why don't I just make this myself? So I did. It took me ages. It's really hard to get on, but once it's on, it's on. And yeah, I did take reference photos in the store with me wearing this shirt, which made it a lot easier to do this whole thing. But yeah, I made a little tie in the back so you can like tighten a little bit. And yeah, this is one of my favorites for sure, but I've actually never worn it because it's kind of a weird mix. It's like a really warm material, but it's also kind of cold, so it's like too hot for hot days and it's too cold for cold days. This shirt has a story to it. This is the first shirt that I've ever made with like really nice, thick, expensive wool. I went to Søstrene, I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure if the store's anywhere else. I live in the Netherlands and they have them here in almost every city, but it's one of my favorite shops. They're so nice and they also sell wool, and when I found out, I just had to buy it. So the balls were quite small. I think they were like this big, like that much, and I bought 3, very optimistic with this shirt in mind, and I got until about halfway with just the front. I made the neck at the end, and yeah, safe to say I had to go back and buy more, and it was not cheap. It was really expensive. I think I spent like 50 euros on yarn alone, and yeah, but it's a really nice material, although it is real wool, so it is a bit itchy, so I always wear it over like a turtleneck. But I have a really nice outfit with this one, actually, with a matching skirt, and I will show you that for sure. I just realized I kind of messed up the order because this is actually the first pattern I ever followed for a top, and it turned out really well, although I wish I would have used a different color because I don't think you can really see it, but it has like really like delicate cups into it, and it took me ages to follow, but I used a different type of yarn. It was like a bit thicker, and I used also a different size hook, so the pattern didn't exactly work anymore. So I did follow it, but I just had to kind of tweak it. And once I got to the end of the tutorial, which, warning, please, if you ever make something from a tutorial, watch the whole thing first, because I didn't know that this was gonna have a corset back, and I'm scared of corset backs. I feel like I cannot take them off and put them on myself, so I've never actually made one. So I put buttons in it instead, and it works just fine, but it was quite the work to do it. Actually went out and bought these beautiful buttons, but yeah, it doesn't really fit me that well. It's not very flattering, so I've never worn it, but it was a good practice for sure. Then next up is some nice basic tops. I learned how to make a cup, and you just stitch them together and then you can wear them just like that. I made quite a few of these. I made this one. I made this one, I think, with a matching skirt in mind, but I ended up not making the skirt. And I also made this one. This is one of my favorites for sure. It is really nice. I've also worn it outside, actually, when it was like a nice hot summer day. But yeah, this one I love. I just used like shell stitch on the edges, and it just looks so nice and sophisticated. Then I wanted to make something a bit sturdier, and since I had learned how to make cups, I thought I could just do that. So I made them way too long. Because if you don't know, I'll make a separate video on that as well, but if you're making cups, you have to like measure it correctly, and I made this part way too long, so they look really weird and like long but not broad enough. But yeah, it is cute. It just, again, it's not very flattering on me, so I've never worn it, but it was good practice. This one also has a story behind it. I was going to a festival and I actually don't know what to wear, so I thought I would just throw something together the day of. So I grabbed my yarn and hook and got to work, and I was gonna make it just red, and I wish I did, because I tried it on when it was just red and I loved it, and then when I tried it on when it had the white on it, I just didn't like it anymore. And also I made it way too long, so when I put the buttons on it, as you can see, I had to put them very crooked. So if I put the back on, it's actually kind of like this, and it just doesn't look nice. So I ended up not wearing it. Actually, I ended up wearing the white one that I love so much. This is definitely a fail, sadly, because it is really nice. It just doesn't fit me. Then this one I actually made recently. It's just one giant granny square and you put it on like this. Yeah, it's great. It's not very sturdy though, but yeah, I made a little thing you can tie it around your neck, and it does the job. And then last but not least, from the tops, I made this one yesterday. I finished it yesterday. It took me like 3 days, I think. This is one of my favorite tops so far. I just used one reference photo from Pinterest, and I love it so much. I just made like these ruffles, and I did put a little drawstring through it so that it would fit me better, and that was absolutely a lifesaver. It was definitely what I missed in the previous tops because the back just didn't fit well. It was way too loose, and so it just didn't fit me, so I didn't wear it, but I'm definitely going to be wearing this one. I also thought I made a very creative solution with the back. As you can see, you can just tie it, but I actually did not secure the straps to the back straps. Look, you can take them, slide them off just like that, so you can make them tighter or less tight, and you can, like, you know, move it. So that is something that I absolutely love, and I'm gonna do that all the time from now on. I don't know why I didn't do that before, I just thought of it last night, but yeah, I will definitely be making a pattern on this one as well because it is amazing, and I wish I could sell it, but it is a bit time consuming, so I'll just make the pattern. Then I have this kind of under-bust corset. It's nice, but I've never really worn it. I don't really have the right dress for it. You can also put it on regular clothes, kind of like a Renaissance fair kind of vibe, which I was definitely going for, and I do really like it. But I got a really nice yarn from a friend, and it was just a small ball, so I didn't want to buy more, but I did want to use it. So this was the perfect thing to make with it, and I do really like it, and I wish I will get an opportunity to wear it sometime. And then these, I guess they kind of fall under clothing, but they're like necklaces that I made a bunch of. I was gonna sell these at the market that someone tried to buy my bag at, and I think I made like 30 maybe, different colors as well, mostly just like beige tints, and sadly they did not sell. To be fair, I was not really out there selling them, and it was mostly just, I think, 30-50 plus people there, and this is kind of more of a young people choker, so it was just not the right audience, and that's totally okay. I just have a bunch of them left now. And then these, I love these. They are leg warmers. I have the perfect shoes to wear with them, although I cannot really walk in them, so I don't really wear them that often. But I actually wore these on a trip in London, and I loved it. They're very comfortable, very nice and warm. I used kind of like a stretchy rib stitch on this one, and yeah, they're just so comfortable. Definitely recommend making these as a beginner. And then last but not least, my dresses. I've made 2 dresses. This is my first one. I absolutely love it. I, again, did not have a pattern. I just went for it, and it did take me quite a while, but not as long as I expected. I just kept measuring and trying it on, and I was struggling a little bit with getting it over my head because my waist is quite small in comparison to my shoulders. So what I did is I made like a little tie at the side, so you can tie it together, and it's like open to like right here. Of course it's see-through, so you cannot wear it on its own, but I like to wear this in winter with just black leggings and a turtleneck, and it looks very nice and sophisticated, and yeah, I wore this all the time last year. And then the very last clothing item that I made, I love this so much. It is a really nice dress. It has a slit as well. It's a really nice length. Again, I had no pattern, and I was actually struggling so hard with making this one. I had to take it apart multiple times because I made the top first. As you can see, there was a bit of a struggle here. You can see it's a bit thicker over here on both sides, because I had first made it as a top, and it would be the perfect length to fit around here, but I could not get it over my head, so I couldn't actually put it on, and I had already cut up the ends, so I had to cut it open and like try and stitch it back together, but somehow I did it, and it turned out great. I'm so happy with it. I also ended up making matching gloves. I do think they complete the look. It looks very nice. I don't think I would wear them out together, but they definitely look great together. This is a category for another video, but these are my unfinished projects. I have quite a few of them, so again, I'm gonna make a separate video. So I'm definitely gonna link that down below once it's out. But this is my biggest project ever. I'm gonna make a dress. It's inspired by a House of CB dress. I saw it, I fell in love, and I could not afford it, so I decided to make it myself. Thank you so much for watching my first ever YouTube video. I plan on making many more, of course, mostly about crochet and on the patterns of things that I've shown in this video. So if you want me to make a video on any of these things, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to read every single one of them. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe for more. Also, like this video if you liked it, and dislike it if you didn't. Your feedback is always appreciated. The music I used in this video has been made by my amazing friends, so I've made sure to link all of them down below. Please check them out. They're amazing. and thank you so much for letting me use your music. I also produce some music myself. I'll also make sure to link that down below if you want to check it out. I'm planning on posting new videos every Thursday and Sunday, so if you want to stay up to date, don't forget to click that notification bell. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!